Hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, or whatever. My name is Monica. I'm a senior nursing student, and today I want to talk about kind of my nursing journey. Like for nursing school wise, how I got accepted and all of that, in case any of you are curious and are going through something similar or thinking about joining nursing school. So, first of all, so I'm a senior, so I graduate in December. And so when I started looking for colleges, I knew I wanted to go into nursing. But a lot of the colleges, like the public schools, especially by in the area that I live, a lot of them pretty much, a lot of nursing schools, all nursing schools pretty much have a GPA requirement. It could be either like 3.0 usually is a requirement, but that's not always the case of who gets in. So for a lot of schools by me, it was pretty much everyone who got in had like a 3.9, 4.0 GPA. That made me extremely nervous because, school wasn't something for me that just came naturally. Like I didn't have to study and I got A's. I actually had to really take the time to study, so I wanted to so that made me really nervous because, God forbid if I got a B in the class, I wouldn't make it into nursing school, and that really scared me, because I knew that's what I wanted, like nursing is something that I wanted to do, and I didn't want to have to change my major because I wouldn't be able to get in, and nursing is so competitive these days, and if you're wondering why the GPA requirement is so high, it's because at least, around in the area, like in the Midwest, there's a big nursing professor shortage. So, if they don't have enough teachers, then they can't have a maximum amount of students. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I found out in recent years. Because I couldn't understand why there were so many, like, qualified students being turned away. It broke my heart seeing people with 3.8s not get into nursing school. Like, that's crazy. So I looked around. A lot of schools had like 4.0, like pretty much, we'd ask on the tours, like what's kind of the average GPA people get in. Everyone said pretty much like a 3.8. And I was like, oh my God, like, and already, moving to a new school, new town, and having to get like a 4.0 GPA your first year, like that sounds so scary to me because you're dealing with a lot your freshman year, So that was scary. So then I started looking more into private schools, because, I thought, at the end of the day, I will have to pay more, but, I will probably have a better chance of getting in. And I'm fortunate enough where I could do that. The school where I go to is actually pretty well priced. It's pretty similar to like a Big Ten price or a state school price. So I'm very lucky that I found one that is priced so well, because I looked at other private schools where I was like looking at the price of tuition. So I'm very lucky for that. And so I actually found it. My parents helped me, which I'm very lucky as well. And we actually Googled like nursing schools around that were private, and we did find one. So we looked at the school. It's a small school. It has about 2,000 people. So I was like, because I'm from like a bigger high school. Like I graduated with 650, so I'm like, oh my God, like am I gonna know everyone, their last name, and everyone's like, that scared me. Like, I don't know. So, but I actually did really love it there, and I decided like this is where I'm gonna go. This is where I'm gonna have the best chance to become a nurse. Like the best opportunity to get in. Because at the end of the day, I could have gone to like a public school and maybe had to like not get until and went to school for 6 years instead because I wasn't able to get in for the previous couple of years. So, if you think about it that way, I don't know. Some people do and some people don't. It's really personal, and it's, finances are a huge, obviously, impact on what school you go to. But yeah, I'm just really lucky I found a school that's pretty financially competent to like a state school. So yeah, so I started going there, and it was freshman year, and so I started taking anatomy and physiology, which I really loved that class. I liked because I took human anatomy in high school, which I totally recommend to anyone in high school right now. If you are thinking of going to nursing, please, if your school offers it, try an anatomy class, because it makes college more of a review, at least anatomy-wise, and you know all the terms, you know, like anterior, posterior, superior, and it just makes it a little easier. So I highly recommend it to all the high schoolers out there. And so, yeah, so I took human anatomy in high school. So starting off, I kind of felt more comfortable because, you know, we kind of talked about the basic kind of things, like the cells and, you know, all those terms, posterior, superior. So I felt okay. It was a challenging course, though, for me. You know, I really had to work at it. My school did offer tutoring 3 days a week for that course, which was included in tuition. So I was very grateful to that because I knew I wanted to go tutoring. I don't think I could have done it on my own. And so I spent a lot of time studying for that course, and I went to tutoring 3 days a week. Practically felt like a job, but I mean, you know, being a student is a job when you think about it. And so the first semester, I think I ended up getting B in the course. I want to say a B. It's been a while, but it was hard. It was a hard course for me. I learned a lot. We had like lecture and lab of anatomy, and so that's challenging because like lab, you know, like there's pictures on the wall for the exams, and they're all so like poorly drawn, I feel like, or like they're the same exact part of the body or organ, but they look completely different on different things, or like which gland is this one, which it's like, or which vessel is this, and it's like, you know. So, but I think those classes are good to kind of get you in the mindset of what a normal body function is like, because when you start going into like pathophysiology, when you get into the nursing program, then you kind of have a background of how it's normally supposed to work, I think. So I met a lot of good friends in there. Like a lot of my friends were in nursing, so we always study together or go to open lab together and try to study. But I mean, you know, it was also hard. You know, I really tried to balance school and friends because, you know, I wanted a social life. I wanted to be able to like hang out with my friends and meet new people, but I knew I also had to study. So the library became my best friend pretty much. Because that was a place I knew where I couldn't get distracted by, like, seeing my friends or, you know, doing that kind of stuff. So I'd be like, I'm going to the library, I'm going to study here, like, I'm going to do homework here for, like, 2 hours, then go back to my dorm. Because then I went back to my dorm, I was pretty much all done for the day and could just spend time hanging out with my roommates and the people on my floor. So I think that really helped me because I saw a lot of people first semester freshman year really struggle with the whole social versus school balance. You know, people were partying and drinking every night, and you could tell by their grades, or they would show up to an exam and still be drunk. It was bad, and you could really see who was dedicated and who was kind of, you know, just going for an expensive party, pretty much, or just thought nursing would be a breeze. Yeah, so that was first semester. So the first semester I took anatomy, psychology. Psychology I did pretty well in because I took it in high school. It's another thing I'd recommend to take in high school, psychology, if you're going for nursing, because it's pretty much a prereq for everyone. So take psychology. So I liked that course. I don't know what else I took. We had like, and then I took a fine arts credit. So I took dance, which I actually really liked. It was a good way to get like exercise, and we do like squats and all that. So we did, and I got an A in that course, which saves your GPA. So that was nice. Yeah, so first semester was challenging, but, you know, I was a little nervous for second semester because I had chemistry that semester along with anatomy and physiology too. And, you know, chemistry, I was in honors chemistry in high school. I got like a B+ in high school. So I knew it was going to be challenging, especially with anatomy, but I was hoping I'd at least like get a B. That was my goal, is to kind of get a B in like everything, which I know is not like an A, but, you know, like I tried my best. Like, I'm never a student to, you know, gets 100% everything. Like, you know, I really have to try, and I really tried. And I'd study, I'd go to my professor's office hours. You know, that's another thing too. I think that really helped me is I would go to their office hours to ask questions, and it also showed my professors that I was really dedicated. So, you know, that really helps too in the end. But yeah, so second semester, was extremely difficult for me freshman year. I had anatomy and physiology 2, chemistry, I took an English course, and there was something else. I can't remember right now. But turns out my English course was absolutely terrible. And that made me so upset because it was nothing to do with nursing. You know what I mean? And this professor was known to be notoriously difficult. Of course, I didn't know that before getting into his course. But, I mean, it was a freshman English course, and he would expect everyone to be an English major, which my class is my school is majority of nursing, and so there's only maybe like one English major in the whole class, and he expected everyone to like have just the best writing and everything. And if you had an opinion about something, but like didn't have evidence to back it up, like an opinion, like what? And it was just way too difficult for a freshman English course of non-English majors. So I struggled with that class. Like, I would go into his office for every draft of my paper. I would see our academic resource center had writing specialists, and I would go to them all the time, and I'd go to his office hours. I would try so hard. He basically told me, like, how did you get an A in your last English course? Because you're a terrible writer. And, like, he would make me cry. Like, I'm not in front of him. I like go back to my dorm and cry because I was just so frustrated. Like, I was spending all this time for an English course, and it was hurting my other courses because, like, I would go to him for every draft. He's like, oh, this looks good. This looks great. This looks great. Good job. And then I'd get a D on the paper, and I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did all the changes run by you, and you said they were great and not to change them. And then, so that was frustrating because it wasn't nursing, specific. But I knew it was going to damage my GPA, and so I was so scared, and so I talked to my advisor about dropping the course. At this point, I was a full-time student. I think I was taking 16 credits, so if I would have dropped the class, I would have been down to 12, so 4 classes. So I still would have been full-time and able to keep my scholarship, but I just have to take a different time, and I talked to my advisor, and I was just in tears, like, this is hurting my chances of getting into nursing school. You know what I mean, for an English course. And so she agreed with me, and I dropped the class, and that was, like, the best decision ever because that class was going nowhere for me. Like, I was working so hard, it was damaging my other classes. Chemistry was difficult for me. It was nothing like my high school honors chemistry. Like, there was so much more, I don't even, like, it's just, like, out of my brain now because it was, like, so long ago. But, talking about, like, the different, like, I don't know what they call. I promise, like, I don't even remember what it was about, like, we talked a lot about, like, to do the drawings of, like, alcohol or, like, this thing, you had to, like, do certain drawings of them and add it on, and I was just terrible at it, and I'd go into her office hours, I would take tutoring 3 times a week for that class, on top of anatomy 3 times a week, and I just, like, was getting, like, C's on the exams, and I was like, oh my god, you know what I mean, like, oh, it was so stressful. And I just felt so stupid because I was trying so hard, and it was nothing like my chemistry course in high school, where that I felt really good at because that was more math-based. And I feel like this was more like almost organic chemistry-based, but it was still a general chemistry course. It was just really challenging for me. And I was, ugh. And then anatomy too, all of a sudden I was like, not doing awesome, which was extremely scary for me. I would be getting, like 80s on exams, and like, for anatomy you need to have an 8. Oh, no, that's different. You have to have like a 76 to pass the class. And I was starting to get so panicked, like, because, I had all these 3 classes I was struggling with. I felt really stupid. It was, yeah, and, I was still doing really great with, like, balancing school and my social life, like, I still made time to exercise through this all, but I was feeling so stupid. I was like, I'm going to be a failure if I don't make it into nursing school. Like, all my friends are gonna get in, like, why am I so dumb? Like, it just sucked, because you know, I had told everyone I was going to nursing school, and, like, here I was, like, not even in nursing school, and my grades were, like, not awesome at that point. So I was extremely nervous. You know, I remember towards the end of the semester, I was looking at my grades. Like, I talked with my anatomy professor, and, like, I'd meet with him all the time, and he was so nice to me. He was a great professor. And, you know, he talked about how, and I was like, is there any way that I am going to pass this course? And it was, you know, pretty much a no. And that, like, I had to, like, I had to, like, pinch myself to, like, stop, to, like, not start crying in his office right then and there, because that was just such, like, a failure moment for me. Because, like, you know, I saw people who, like, failed anatomy 1, like, I failed anatomy 1, and for the most part, like, there are some people who, like, tried really hard, but for the most part, people who failed anatomy 1 are people who, like, party all the time, and who, like, didn't really study and didn't really prioritize anything. And so I was like, are people gonna think I'm like that? You know, like, I was trying so hard. Like, I would be studying in the library till midnight, and just stuff wasn't clicking the way, like, I thought it would. Like, I wasn't doing well, and that was so embarrassing to me. That was so embarrassing. And so I ended up failing anatomy 2. Like, I remember just, like, being so terrified to tell my parents. So I remember, like, exactly where I was when I told them, like, yeah, like, I remember I had a boyfriend at the time who was so sweet at the time, and, like, I was telling him, like, I'm not gonna pass, and he was so sweet to me. You know, he was like, you know, you are so smart, and you're gonna pass the next time. You're gonna do great. You're gonna get into nursing school. You're gonna make it through this. And he was so sweet to me. So that made me feel a little better, knowing that someone had faith in me, because at that time I didn't have faith in myself. I felt so disappointed in myself. But I remember calling my parents and just feeling like absolute crap. So I called them and told them that I failed, and I started bawling. I don't mean to make this video sad, by the way. Like, the point of this is I want you to know that you can make it. You know, because some people say, like, if you fail a class, you can't make it into nursing school, and I failed anatomy 2, and, you know, I was told that I should switch my major, and that was so heartbreaking, and I just felt like a complete loser. So that was awesome. So summer came, I took an online English course. I took an online English course to replace the one I dropped, and I was doing fine in that class. And I took a microbiology course, because for nursing school I would have had to take, if I would have gotten in microbiology and patho at the same time, and I've heard those were so hard to take together. So I decided to take microbiology in a different school in the summer. So I did that. And that was a hard class. Because it was like a 3-day-a-week class. We had quizzes every day, and then every Tuesday we had an exam. It was really hard. I got through with, like, a B. So I was really happy with that. So I did that, and that was really hard. Because I still was feeling down about myself, you know. I was like, you know. So fall comes around, so, you know, so most of my friends made it into nursing school, so they started in the fall, and so I hadn't made it. So I was taking, and no one made me feel stupid too, by the way. So if you don't make it, no one's gonna make you feel like you're stupid, okay? Like, I had friends who were like, you know what, you're gonna make it, you know, you got this, so I just really had to keep pushing myself. So they started in the fall, which was fun. I was so happy for them. They got to tell me about, like, they were taking patho and all that. So in the fall, I took anatomy and physiology too. Oh my gosh, what else? I think I tried to take an easier load. And I took Anatomy and Physiology 2. I think I took like a Be With Them course. Not another psychology. I'm trying to think. I think I took an English course too. Yeah, I took like a business and writing course. Yeah. Sorry, it's been a while. So I took those. So Anatomy and Physiology 2 was my main priority. So I tried to take classes that were like easier so I could really focus on that class and really hone in. Because I remember my professor for the previous Anatomy and Physiology 2, which was now my, again, professor for the retake class, he said, like, even if you barely scrape by, Monica, I don't think you would succeed in pathophysiology because patho is a huge basis from anatomy and physiology. So if you're not understanding anatomy and physiology, you're gonna really struggle in patho. So I try to take that to heart, and I really tried even harder in my retake class. Like, I felt like, okay, all this is like a little review. I just need to work harder. And so I did. And I don't know, like, if people like ask like how I did better, I have no idea. Like, I still did the same things. I still went to tutoring 3 times a week. I still studied my butt off. I still went to his office hours, but stuff just started clicking. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But stuff just started clicking, and I was understanding stuff better, like, cardiac, neuro, GI, like, it just started clicking in my brain better, like, this and this and this and this and this part and this is the function of this, and like, it just started clicking, and I was starting to feel more confident about myself, so I started doing way better on my exams. I was going from, like, 80 in the spring to now getting, like, 88, 90, 92 on exams, which was huge for me. My professor was so proud of me. He's like, Monica, look how well you're doing. And I was, like, starting to get more confident in myself. So I ended up getting like a B in the course. So the way my school does it, they'll replace your grade, like your retake grade, with your failed grade for the nursing program only. So some people got confused by that and thought it replaced your GPA. You can't replace a grade in GPA, that's illegal. So it replaced my grade for nursing school, for getting into the nursing school. So they would see that grade instead of my other one. So it raised my GPA up, which was awesome. Yeah, so I ended that. I started to apply. I applied for my nursing program. I think my GPA was at like I couldn't even tell you. It was above a 3.0. I know that. I want to say it was like a 3.3 or something. So not awesome. But I worked my butt off for that. And yeah, so, and I remember too, like, my boyfriend at the time actually gave me a stethoscope. And that made me cry because, he's like, I just believe in you. Like, I wasn't gonna get one because I was like, I just want to, just in case if I don't get in, he's like, you're gonna make it in. I have faith in you. You're gonna be an amazing nurse. And, I applied. It was winter break. I felt good about the semester. I felt good. And then on Christmas Eve, I found out that I got into nursing school. Oh my gosh. And I was so happy. I started bawling. Like, I got that email saying, congratulations, you made it into the spring cohort. And I was so excited. Like, I made it. So this is the story that I want to tell you guys of how I made it into nursing school, because, I didn't do well. Academically wise, I failed a course, which is a big no-no if you want to get into nursing school, but I still did it. And I just want you guys to remember to have faith in yourself, because, it's hard. Going to a new school, trying to get good grades, it is hard work. If school comes easy to you, that's awesome. But just believe in yourself, because if you want this, you will make sure it happens. And it's also important to find a school, too, if you can, where, they have, where, if you're not you know, a 4.0 student, that you kind of look at what are the average GPAs people get in when you're looking at nursing schools. Make sure to ask those type of questions. Otherwise, people in my nursing class right now, they got denied from school. They had a 4.0, so they had to transfer to my school, which is crazy, I thought. But yeah, so it just proves also too that, you know, if you set your mind to something and you really work for it, I mean really work for it, that you can do it. And, you know, and you know, people might think like, oh, you failed, like you won't get good grades in nursing school. That's absolutely not true, because in my Physiology course, so the course I took my first semester of nursing school, I got an A- in. You know what I mean? So, and that was a really rigorous course, and I did awesome in that course. I had no idea how I did it. Like, I was still doing the same stuff I did before, you know? It just was clicking really well in my brain. Like, I really understood it really well, which was something kind of new to me. So it doesn't mean, just because you failed a course doesn't mean you're going to fail in nursing school. You know what I mean? Because I've gotten, you know, great grades ever since. I've gotten pretty much all my nursing school grades are in the 90s. So it just proves, you know, like, your pre-nursing doesn't define who you are in nursing school, okay? So just don't give up on yourself, and you can do it. So I hope my story inspired some of you who are really worried about nursing school or about grades, or maybe you have failed a course. You know, stuff happens, life happens, but, you know, as long as you have support behind you, and you support yourself, and you take that time to really work for it, and know, if you're lucky enough to have the resources of tutoring, that's really awesome, you know, and going to your professors. So yeah, so I hope you guys have an amazing day. If you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. All right, bye.